I'm going to share a little bit about healing today, the concept of healing, but healing the heart and soul, healing consciousness. What we forget to realize is what we just heard from the Course to a degree there too, is that the outer world reflects the inner world. And then what do we mean by the inner world? The outer world reflects our mind. But then when we hear mind, we think our intellectual, cognitive thinking mind. The outer world reflects the inner soul, our beliefs, not just our cognitive mind. So people have to upgrade their understanding around this, because people think that if they're aware of thoughts, that's where creation comes from. So if they don't like those thoughts, they do, these little things like cancel clear, and just try to, negate whatever they were just thinking. I don't like that person. Oh, cancel clear. It doesn't work like that. It's in our beliefs. It's deep in the soul are the origins, the roots of everything we see outside. And really, it's a fascinating concept. I mean, if we really got down to it, and there's not enough time in a talk like this to do it all, but it's amazing to think, to realize that the body is actually created like a projector in a theater. I mean, we're created. We have lens, we have light inside, just like a projector, and we've got this lens that we project this through, and now all we have to do is take a look at what films we're choosing. So we have this catalog inside. The ego's choosing what films to put in there, and it runs past, when it runs past the lens, let's call it, within the lens, that's what we see outside. So the outer world is this three-dimensional, it looks, it's this hologram, but it's this three-dimensional, height, width, depth. It's got this three-dimensional appearance to it, and human beings walk around in this trance, acting like that world is the real world and it affects our day. I would be doing so much better if only, and then we name whatever list of things. But it is quite absurd, and it's why Jesus in A Course in Miracles refers to it as insanity, because people are walking around as though they watch horror movies and terrified to go outside. Because I just saw what was out there. Where did you see that? Oh, I just watched a movie. Really? So you think the creature from the Black Lagoon is actually in your backyard because you watched the movie? Yeah, and I married him too. It's like we project these things outside, then we never interact with them, and then we say, I'm just not a very happy person. Why? Because I married the creature from the Black Lagoon, and guess what? They ended up being a creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, they acted like one too. So that thing is affecting my day. If we take that to the courtroom of heaven and project that, we don't stand a chance, because we're going to go into that courtroom. So I'm just metaphorically saying, we go into that courtroom and say, listen, God, I would have had a better life, but everybody and everything went wrong. Everything where? In the world. Well, what world? The world. Oh, you mean the movie? You took it seriously? Well, yeah, doesn't everybody? Well, no, not us. But then that's why we're blissing out. We don't believe it. They're just movies. And it's not to undervalue or understate the pain that the world causes us, because there are some painful things. What I'm saying, though, is to only talk about them on the level of the projector screen is not going to help them. If you're fated to be in this world, and if you're fated to be in the theater of life, watching a movie, and you don't like it because it's horrible, horror movies, scary movies, murder mysteries, all this drama of the world, the only way you can change it, you can try closing your eyes. It's called denial. You can also plug your ears. But when you walk through life going la 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 la, it doesn't look very mature. If that's your way of dealing with life, I don't hear anything, and I'm just going to close my eyes. You're not even there. That's not actually going to work. The only way we can change the world is to actually get off our butts in the theater, get off our butts, walk into the back projection room, and take out the film. Put in a different one. What would you like to see today? And that's what is called free will. It's called choice. We can choose better movies. We can choose different realities. Now, what I don't want to imply here is like what positive thinkers try to say. Just make yourself think positively. It's not just that, and it's not that easy. It's change your beliefs, believe it or not, If I can change my belief in whether or not I am a holy, innocent being created in God's image or not, that's the key right there. If I can accept my holiness, it automatically will change the films. You see? It's our beliefs in who we are that affect everything. So I don't, and my analogy doesn't mean I just mean storm the projector room, knock the projectionist over and change films. Those are the people that try to push positive thinking. Positive thinking would still be trying to take heaven by force, which can't be done. If you're not in the consciousness of heaven, you don't enter heaven. So we change our consciousness. So there's this reference that we have to all learn, memorize. In the core of our being, there's this, even using this person as an analogy, this body we have. In the core of our being, there is this perfect light made in the image of God. And that thing is called Christ, but it has nothing to do with Christianity. It's Christ. It's the true light that we were created to be. And it's beautiful. It's perfect in the core of our being. And everyone has it. Then we wonder what life would be like if we weren't that light. So around that light, you can't actually take out that light or negate that light. You can't kill it. It's eternal, perfect God, and it's in every one of us. But what we can do is, I wonder what life would be like to not have that light, and we created a darkness around it so that we would know darkness. Now, in that darkness, in the center of that darkness, we set up a throne and we seated someone to blame for this happening. And it's called our ego. So when we said, what would life be like if we weren't in the holiness of God? Sadly, there's this dark sheath that covered our light. And remember, the light is still in there, but this darkness covered it. So all of a sudden, there's this perfect presence of God, and yet now there's this void. In Genesis, this void, darkness, and so it's like so interesting. And in that void, we enthroned the ego, and the ego's job is to keep us from remembering to go in back to our light and instead go out. No better way to get us to go out than to project things out for us to look at. So in our core, light, around the core, this layer of darkness. And in that darkness, we start to say, God, a minute ago we were feeling light. Now we're feeling darkness. Doesn't feel very good. So we decided we're just going to project this out. Because what we're feeling is called guilt and shame. Because we seemingly separated from God and lost our holiness, which we didn't lose, but it seems like it. We seem to have lost it. We now feel guilt and shame. So we say, okay, we're not feeling very good. We're going to project everything outwards. But if we just project everything outwards, all the stuff that would reflect our fear, the world would look like nothing but fear. So believe it or not, what we do is light, layers of ego. Then the ego says, what you deserve now for having separated from God are naughty things in this world. So we have hurts and wounds, childhood wounds, past life wounds. So what it looks like, our creation, which isn't really the right word for it, but in our creation, here's how it looks. Core light, the layer of ego, we'll call it, or darkness, veil, and then wounds, guys, wounds, past life, childhood wounds, wounds and wounds and wounds. So do we want to walk around the world just going, hi, look at me, man, wow, I'm nothing but woundedness. Most of us now have to put something in front of the woundedness called a mask. Yeah, I was wounded, but now I'm a successful CEO. I was wounded, but now I'm a happy mother. Yes, things happened to me when I was a child, but I'm over that. Those are all masks. It does, we can comb it, we can brush it, we can spray it, we can tan it, we can thin it up, we can do whatever. We can certify it, and we are certifiable, for sure. So we can keep proving to the world, look at me, I'm not as bad as we all know that I am. So I'm going to distract you with success. But man, I've met everybody. I've met every, imaginable thing. The most wealthy and the successful and the actors and deep inside, we're all humans. And at the core of our being, we're really light. But before we get to that core, underneath our facades, There's pain. Now, not everybody has the same level, the same amount of woundedness and so on, but it's really sad. Because underneath our facades, the masks, are wounds. And even if some of us say, well, thank God I haven't had tremendous wounds, have you ever been afraid? And when I say wounds, let's be clear about this. The definition from Michael Mirdad anyway, of trauma is anything that lacks love. Anything that lacks love is traumatic. So you may not have even had overt, horrible abuses. Have you ever been afraid? Have you ever, I remember feeling trauma just watching it when I had a child and it had a problem crying and I couldn't fix it. Just seeing it in such pain was traumatic to a degree. So when you see this world and when you say, no, I don't have any issues whatsoever, do you ever look out around you? Have you not heard that there are people suffering from this and that and the other? How does that not hit you on some level? Because even if you think, I'm really doing well, because I make sure my clothes are bleached out nicely to look real white and spiritual, and I wear spiritual jewelry, and I live in Sedona, and wow, I'm just amazing. Even if you could pull that off, you're part of the collective too. So if you want to pretend that the collective doesn't have any issues, you're actually trying to separate from the collective that you're part of. It doesn't make any sense. Even if you can say, I'm doing really well, thank you, I'm glad you are, but we're not. You're still part of us. As long as we're suffering, you're still suffering to some level. I'm not trying to bum everybody out, so bear with me. But I am saying there's stuff, man. There's hurt. There's collective sadness and fear, abandonment. There's sickness, illness, death. All kinds of scary things and horrible things. And there is no time, which means even the pains of yesterday are still here. Anticipated pains of tomorrow are already here. And again, I'm not trying to bum everyone out, but I am saying it's important for us to recognize outside we have masks. Just turn within. Jesus is saying, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, in the Gospel of Thomas, look within. And it's kind of like funny because many mystics will say, be still. Look within and thou shalt find bliss, or whatever, right? Jesus says, be still, look within, and you will become disturbed. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, he must have missed motivational thinking, class 101 when he was in school. How are you going to get people to follow your teachings when you say, follow me, I have some great things to share. First, be still, go within, and you're going to become disturbed. Like, who wants to go to that class? But what he's saying is, when you look within, the first thing you're going to see beyond your masks are all the reasons you created masks. Every cover-up. Everything. You do a little this and that to make up for this and that. It's all compensatory. What if I drop my masks? What would happen? What would happen if, what if you're a very popular, actor? What if you're a popular politician? And people rely on you to look a certain way, be a certain way, think a certain way. What if the President of the United States, if there was ever one you liked, let's just say that, and let's say they went up on stage and said, I'm just not really doing well today. The nation would panic because we've got this mask of, just lemmings just saying, as long as that person says everything's okay, we're going to be okay. So let's turn it on. He said everything's okay. Oh, phew. Okay, it's lies. But what if they dropped their mask? So everybody, what if you dropped your mask and your children saw you suffering? There are rational reasons why we keep some of them, appropriate reasons why we keep some of the masks up. But there's a way that it doesn't have to become something I wear, where I don't have to identify with my mask anymore. It's called vulnerability. It's okay to say, in this moment, I'm leading some folks, so let me put on my best face. Okay, fine. But can you ever take it off? Did you keep wearing it? Did you put on your happy face? Great. Can you take it off and process whatever was actually there? So most of us get used to wearing the masks, and once we wear them, remember the old Twilight Zone episode where there was this, the one about all these people, and this guy held a party and he asked everybody to wear a mask. So they all put them on, but when they tried to take them off, their faces contorted to the strange masks that he asked them all to wear. Because he said, you're all liars. You're bitter, so now you can wear this bitter face. So by putting this on, this some sort of magic created their faces to look like the mask of bitterness or greed or whatever it happened to be. No, it's not that we're going to go that direction, but that's what happens to us. We become the masks we wear. That's what we're thinking. So now I am happy. But it's a false happiness. So under that false happiness, the mask you put on of happiness, you think you're now happy. You try to take it off, and so even if you could, you just still have a false happiness you got to keep up. And there's a terrifying feeling at the idea, can I ever drop that? And most people don't even know this exists, so they don't even realize how terrified they are. But there's a point where we relax, where we drop the masks. Prayers and meditations and healings, and we say, so what if? What if today I'm just not as happy as I'd like to think I am? What if I do have more wounds and memories of things than I would like to have thought I did? Just do it. Just take the mask off and cry. Sigh. And now some of your people that you might listen to will say, well, don't. Just focus on positive, positive, positive. And I'm saying there are more masks. Everything has its place, including motivational speaking, positive thinking, affirmational thinking, all has its place. Life coaching, all has its place. But if you polish the outside with all that great, good, righteous energy, and I agree with those things, but without working on the inside, it becomes a mask rather than the real you. What we're looking for is to dig up the stuff behind the masks, work on that with God, but work on that stuff inside. And then what happens is I don't have to wear a mask because my light starts shining through what used to be wounds and traumas. I don't have to wear a mask because my light shines and there is no mask. My light's just bright. That's part of what it means by put on the armor of the Lord. It's like, it's my light shining out. So instead of putting on a shiny face mask, it's actually shiny. It's when a person feels happy through and through. And we need one way to do that, one simple way to do that, is realizing, it's almost as though there's two creatures within, two things, two beings. And whichever one, you heard the story, whichever one you feed is the one that's going to thrive, the one that's going to be. But all too often we feed this ego self, the wounded self. And there are ways to deal with this. And one of them, just real simple, I'm not going into a list yet, but one simple way, gratitude. When you sincerely feel gratitude, what happens is you're accessing the light in the core of your being, saying, I really am grateful. And I don't mean I'm really grateful that I'm not dead yet. I mean, that's really, really reaching for something positive. I'm talking about if you can't think of a single thing that anyone ever did for you that made you feel valued, or a single thing you ever did for anyone else that made them feel valued. If you can't do that, then you're in trouble. But if you can, what you're doing is you're reaching to that light in the center of your being that is the thing that was valued by someone else or gave value to someone else. And when you get it and say, that really was kind of cool, and you let that spark fan into a flame, what you're doing is letting it burn off the wounded selves here in the middle, and then it even burns off some of the masks we were wearing, and it becomes us. So the joy becomes us. The love becomes us. The gratitude is one very underestimated way to bring this about. But the ego sits inside just doling out judgments. It has no intention. The ego self's job is to keep you going out. And it does that by judging. Judgment means, by definition, something is going to be blamed outside or credited outside. But it's always outer oriented. Judgment is never really internal. The problem is, we have already determined, guys, that we're flawed. That we left heaven. And if you left heaven, there must be something wrong with you. I mean, if heaven is perfection and bliss, think about the logic of that. Yeah, there was really heaven and bliss, and then we thought, let's leave that. That's how you would respond. There's something wrong with you. Why would you want to leave that? Well, right. So we determined there's something wrong with us. To deal with that, we projected it out as an outer world where everything is the blame for our lives. So when we have the courage, we turn within and we start realizing it's time to start looking at my own stuff. So this gets very tricky. I'm going to share a brief list with you in just a second. It's a progression that I scribbled down so that we could go over it step by step. But remember, the ego's intention is project these things outside. But then what happens is all that does is increase our shames and guilt inside for judging other people. So some of us say judgment should result in forgiveness. Fair enough. Then we think forgiveness means that we're going to forgive people for wronging us, which makes total sense on a linear level. What I'm going to explain is that before the people wronged us, we had already judged ourselves as deserving such and such. No, not the specific thing. If someone kicks you in the leg, it's not like you woke up that day saying, oh, I can really, I can see that I deserve a kick in the leg. It's not like it's in your meditation and clear visions. It's not that it's that obvious. What I'm saying is that all we have to do is believe, even ever so slightly, that there's anything at all wrong with us, and it will attract a wounding. You see? Now, as soon as I attract the wounding, I'm kind of mad at you for wounding me, which is going to then cause me to judge you more, which is because I'm also already judging myself for judging you for kicking me. So even though, it's just this constant feeding cycle that goes around and around. So I feel upset. I attract people that treat me poorly. Once they do, I judge them. I feel badly that I judge them. Now that's going to attract more, and around we go. And where she stops, nobody knows. Yeah. And this is constant, the guilting and shaming. Externally we do it, like the term shame on you, even to kids, parents can do that to kids. Shame on you. It's like it used to be considered like a curse. Shame on you. It's like you got to kind of go out, with shielding yourself with an aura of light, because people could just randomly throw out these curses. But who am I really? I am this perfect light inside. If I can identify with my innocence, I wouldn't then feel guilty, shameful, hurtful, wronged, wrongful, and nothing. I wouldn't feel any negative feelings. So I wouldn't then need to push them outside of myself to feel better. So here's the progression or digression, depending on how you want to look at it. All right. First, the ego reminds us of our seeming choice to separate. So this is how it begins every single day. You're waking up, the ego's right there. Hi, good morning. Oh, you again, it's like, okay. Listen, in case you don't know, you feel terrible. I haven't even woken up. I haven't even had my Wheaties, Yeah, you feel terrible. Why? Well, because where are you? I'm in bed. Where? On earth? You must have left heaven. Oh, you're kidding me. I thought that was just a bad dream. So it reminds us every day, you're not in Kansas anymore, Toto, okay? You and Dorothy, you left heaven. Starts with that. Then it says, and being your friend, which it isn't, but being your friend, I just want you to know how awful you should feel for not being in heaven. Then, and not only should you feel awful for separating, chances are you should kind of be careful and be afraid. Because if you did separate from God, the chances are something's going to happen to you as a punishment. Then, this actually starts creating people to attack us and be mean to us, because they are the manifestation of our inner thought that we deserve to be punished. All right, next. Then comes our reasoning for not completely, unconditionally trusting other people. See, we can't completely trust other people because we already suspect they're one of our assassins that have been sent out to get us for separating from God. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to see the Christ presence in another person when I already know they're out to get me. And then we repeat this over and over again. So our guilt and our regrets from the past already make us afraid of the future. So people, this is why A Course in Miracles is saying, I see only the past. So every day, no matter who we are, Every day we wake up with the same exact question. Am I or am I not as God created me? All we have to do is not just answer yes, we are as God created us to be. Not only answer it, you have to believe it. I am as God created me, which is actually a prayer of gratitude. If you see underneath that, that's a prayer of gratitude. I am, thank God. If I can understand that and believe that I am as God created me, that, because every thought and every belief attracts an external reality, right? A manifestation, a reflection. The outer world is a hologram of my inner world. If I know to wake up and say I am as God created me, I will see that. If I say no, I'm not, or, and this is the bad news, no answer at all is I am not. That's the bad news. If you don't say yes, you're saying no, even if you are undecided, non-committal, or made no decision at all. All of them get grouped in the opposite. And that's why we seem and feel so, unarmed, so to speak, so outnumbered. And rightfully so. This is the way we set it up. We have to switch in the core of our being. We have to switch over to something new, believing something different. And it's something that's very foreign to us. But it could be made easier if we do these things with God. So you're even better off saying, I do not know ultimately who I am. And then you say, show me, God. Show me what kind of day I can have if I'm your child. Show me the kind of life I can have if I'm one of your holy children. Show me what innocence looks like. Show me what guiltlessness looks like. See, even when we say words like guilt and shame, most people in the spiritual community or in the New Age community cannot even relate. If I put that in the title of the talk, they wouldn't have even tuned in. Oh, it's about guilt, shame. I'm not into that. I don't have any of that. That's what's making you shut off the video. Because you don't want to accept. If you say, it's very simple math. I mean, if you're a good parent, but for some reason you have a child that's disturbed for some reason, mentally maybe, and they run away from home, let's say. Deep inside, they know they've done something that's not in their best interests. They're entering a world that's scary and could possibly hurt them. But if you were a good parent, but something in their mind led them to do that, you're still fine as a person. You didn't do any wrong. You didn't hurt them. God didn't do any wrong. But inside that child, even if they're not mentally disturbed, they just did something because a friend tempted them to. A friend talked them into it. They did it. They're still going to feel bad to some degree about having done it. I possibly have hurt my mother's feelings by leaving home. I may have hurt my mom. I may have hurt my dad. Now I feel terrible what I've done. I can't possibly go home now. And that's what we've done. We left heaven forgetting that we were forgiven the moment that it happened. That's the story of the Buddhist and the Christian versions of the prodigal son. So when it gets down to forgiveness, this is going to be the trickiest part of all. We think it looks like this. Okay, every day I get up, I go about my day, and eventually somebody's going to do something rude, but I'm spiritual, so I forgive them. And that's what's considered a spiritual life for most people. You'll see it on Facebook. You go to forgiveness pages. It'll probably be in there, reading about forgiveness. Well, I'm doing better with forgiveness. How so? Another moron hurt my feelings today, but I forgave him. Really? That's a great testimonial. It's like, that's it? Now, I will say this. That's better than doing no forgiveness. But there's something tricky. What if I'm not telling you the person was nice. I'm not pretending. They came up and kicked you. I'm not saying, no, just pretend that didn't happen. Just, you'll walk with a limp, but just pretend that you don't have a limp. It's going to be painful, but don't reach down to kind of rub the spot. No, it does not hurt. It does not hurt. That's not how you heal. What's really strange about this is that the outer world keeps showing evidence of a problem inside. If I come up and kick you, I am evidence that you're not perfect and holy. Because if you're perfect and holy, you wouldn't have attracted this. Listen to all the people with positive thinking out there, all those videos and books and stuff, It's about positive thinking, You attracted this, and then that makes you feel even worse. It's really sad because I've got people on Facebook pages that write in and, Michael, I'm practicing this and I did these prayers and all, but something still happened today and I feel so terrible. How did I create that? The whole idea that we create is not supposed to have made you feel worse than you didn't understand it. Anything that makes you feel more guilt and shame is not God. So that's why there are false forms of forgiveness circulating on the planet. You would think forgiveness is a topic that's immune to any problems. No, no. The ego rides shotgun with everything. You know, it rides just side saddle to, it's right there with you. It's just riding side by side with you on every decision. Just because you read A Course in Miracles, it doesn't go, well, might as well pack up. It doesn't happen like that. I'm going to Unity of Sedona. Now that I watch Unity of Sedona, probably nothing will ever happen again. It doesn't work like that. As soon as you say, I'm on a path, I read a book that's really spiritual, the ego's right there saying, yes, I'm going to help you read that. I'm going to make you obsessed on getting all these steps right, because you know you're not going to get them right, and I'll be right there to show you when you didn't do it right. It's going to be there constantly. How do you know when it's there? Do you feel guilt and shame? Or regret? The unholy trinity of emotions. Guilt, shame, regret. You can pretend you don't have them, but if you're in a body, it's likely you have them. Because the very fact that you incarnated is because, as Buddha points out, regrets. Karma. What's karma? It's a regret. That's all. It's just a regret stored in the soul. I probably shouldn't have done that. Oh, now I owe someone amends of some kind. Now I got to go back. So reincarnation is just regret, unhealed regret. Shames and guilts. You know, shames are it's this feeling that I'm flawed. Something is done to, I'm not just ashamed of what I've done. Even things done to me. I walk around carrying the shame. I'm not perfect. I'm damaged goods, as some people call it. What a strange way to identify yourself. And how amazing if we really ever slow down and imagine, I am as God created me. I really am. How magnificent is that? And instead what we're doing is, I think I separated from God. Like I said before, forgiveness can be, somebody did something bad, I forgave them. Okay, that's better than nothing, but it's a limited form of forgiveness. So, instead how it looks is this. Somebody was mean to me. Somebody hurt me today. Okay. Instead of forgiving them, pause for a moment. Somebody hurt me. Where did it really come from? And we learn to go inside instead of, you hurt me, but I forgive you. See how that was still outside? Inside means, you did this, but when I look at this that you did and the feelings it brings up, this isn't the first time. You rejected me today, but this isn't the first time I have felt rejected, which means we have what's called a pattern. Not an isolated incident. We have a pattern. Who has the pattern? I do. So instead of forgiving you for rejecting me, I go inside and I'm going to start looking at the pattern in myself. And if I really want to get down to it, I could take it all the way back to the beginning of time and say, once upon a time, I rejected God, thought I left, then flew into the universe, landed on earth, and started incarnating. Lo and behold, I thought somebody rejected me today, but behind it is, I rejected God, I felt bad about it, and started manifesting people rejecting me as a pattern in my life. But that's probably silly, so I'll just forgive you anyway. No, I probably need to forgive myself. All forgiveness starts with forgiving others, but it always, if you go deeper with it, always turns inside, and we realize, I have to forgive myself. Now that's a hard one for people, and some people even twist that into meaning things that they shouldn't be twisting it into, but it's true. I'm not saying don't also forgive the other person, but I am saying go deeper with it to a recognition that I'm the one with the pattern. So this is what's really cool. On the outside, I could have manifested, dozens and dozens of rejections on the outside, like spokes of a wheel. But when I track them back and heal and forgive the core, the hub, called rejection, do you see what's going to happen to all the spokes? If I forgive the core pattern, the spokes will all disappear. I don't have to track down each person and you rejected me, and you rejected me, and you rejected. Thank God I'm such a forgiving person. And you rejected me, and you will not be able to. No human being has the ability, like Abraham Lincoln said, nobody has a good enough memory to be a good liar. Okay, it's along those lines. You can't hide from yourself. Nobody has a good enough memory to really pin down everybody as being the fault. But you can righteously, accurately, and effectively go to the root and forgive it. And you don't even have to know what other people were there. You don't have to know which lifetimes. There are strains of it everywhere. So this is something I've shared many times, but try to tune into this. Let's say there's two routes you can go with forgiveness. One is tracking down every single person and event, and good luck, right? Think about it. Or imagine this. If you could forgive the core pattern, what's happening is you're actually taking care of all the parts that branched off at once. Which is more efficient? Which takes less time? Which is more effective? Always the stuff at the core. So our job is to learn our lessons and heal our wounds and uproot such things. But guilt and shame, we have to learn to recognize guilt and shame and how it affects our lives. We're carrying this stuff just like heavy soaked coats, and it weighs upon us. But then what we do is, because we're carrying guilt and shame, we start to get agitated because it hurts our body, it hurts our minds. So what do we do when we're agitated is we vent. Now once I said, get away from me, I'm carrying lots of guilt and shame. Get away from me. We start going, God, I was probably mean to them. Now I have more guilt and shame. Look, give me your coat. I'll carry that one too. And we carry another one. How do we drop them? Apologize and make amends where you have done harms, if you can. Drop some of them that way. The others are, a lot of them are going to be, you're going to realize, my own guilts and shames about myself. My own judgments on myself. And as I drop those weights, just look at what happens. I mean, the weight of the world off my shoulders. I get to breathe easy. And sadly, I cannot see the Christ in anyone else if I'm not able to see it myself. And I'm not going to see it myself if I can't see it in everyone else. So I cannot become the living Christ while carrying shame and guilt. They're called mutually exclusive. You can't have one and the other at the same time. So if we're not feeling joy, like right now, if you were to take an evaluation of how you woke up today or how you felt today, your joy level, your little joy meter in here, you check it out. If it was not up there, 7, 8, 9, 10, that means you're probably carrying some guilts and shames. Because guilt and shame are going to counter joy and abundance, peace and joy. Guilt and shame going to counter, peace and joy. So how am I doing today? This is cool because many great teachings like A Course in Miracles will tell you. If you want to know how you're doing in your mind and your soul, just check into your typical feelings. How are you feeling? I'm feeling pretty expansive. If you don't, it means you woke up on the wrong side of your head. That's about it. I woke up on the wrong side of my head. How do I know? Because, everything's gone wrong since I woke up. Or it went kapooey, halfway through the day. Somewhere in there, I'm watching someone put in the wrong movie. For a moment, let's blame someone. I was doing great till I saw you today. That means the moment I ran into you was a moment after the wrong tape got put in. A horror movie tape, a drama, a murder mystery, a bad movie, just a horrible movie. And it didn't happen when they entered your life. It happened when we chose to believe that we were less than whole. And so they're there to reflect it. That's what it means when we say people are our lessons. Do you understand it a bit more deeply now? People are carrying lessons to us. People are there to teach us, they say. It doesn't mean intellectually. Well, they're all there to teach us something. Teaching us means reflecting back to us our decisions about ourselves today. All you have to do now is, what movies are playing? I feel really great. I'm watching the movie and it's like, wow, this is a really great movie. You know what happens when there's a great movie? You chose well. You know what happens when there's a terrible movie? You didn't choose well. Who's involved in either? You. That's not to increase the blame and shame and guilt and all that, but it's to change our responsibility level. So let's look at that. Let's take time to look at that. We're going to do, as part of our closing, we're going to do a decree. And the decree is a great way to clear the center of these old patterns. But let's remember, we're wearing masks that support this. So picture this. If I have rejection issues and I put on a mask that, hey, I don't have rejection issues because I have a wife or a partner, husband or whatever it is, and kids, look at me. There's no rejection. We're wonderful. We're a great family and we love each other. And when they get older, they're not even moving away because there's no rejection issues in me at all. I'm just adding on more rooms. And they're all going to live because I'm going to prove there's no rejection. You see, you can't by doing that. But let's pretend you tried. It's a mask. And what's going to happen is you're building to react to your rejection issue. You're building an outer facade to prove that there is none. It's going to happen where the universe is going to take something away. It's going to cause a crack in your mask eventually. It's going to, there's a crack, and then it splits more and more, and eventually the masks are going to have to pop open to show what's under it. Now, some people will keep puttying up the masks, putting on new masks over the old masks. It doesn't work. Ultimately, what we have to do is own how we don't want our wounds to be exposed. There's a movie I watched yesterday that was interesting, but in it, there was a psychotherapist, and the two of them, and they were talking to each other, and one of them was saying, if you're not interested in me, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm an adult and I'm a counselor. I know how to deal with those things. Within 30 more minutes, crying terribly about rejection that they never wanted to feel. So we can put on the masks and we can put on the successes and we can put on I've been there before, I'm tough now. We can put on any airs, but underneath it, if we don't deal with that stuff underneath, the masks are going to crack, blow off, or whatever's going to happen and eventually expose it. So what I'm saying is this is inevitable. Why don't we just choose to do it instead of waiting until it's done to us? Because whatever you don't work out through healing, you will end up experiencing in your feelings. Whatever you don't work out will be acted out. So it's just common sense. Why don't people do it then? It's an inconvenience. It's annoying. It's kind of dark to have to look at that stuff. I mean, at least with my mask, I have good days and bad days. If I remove the mask, I have only bad days. That's kind of good logic there. Except when you remove the mask, you will momentarily have bad days, having to look at stuff, and then it will be gone. And you will find the inner Christ and a whole new you emerges. So technically they're right to say, be afraid, be very afraid. Don't ever take the journey within. It's what you will see, Jesus is saying, you will be disturbed. But after being disturbed, his statement continues to the point of, and you'll find bliss. So it's an inconvenience, people aren't used to it, but most of it is they're just fears, guys, which means they're not actually there, these things. They're just fears that they are there. When you say, I'm afraid that if I move my mask, I'm going to show vulnerability. About what? Well, that I don't have it all together. Great. Me neither. How you doing? Well, but I don't want people to think I don't have. Why? Because I'm an author. I've written books about how everything's sterling. Look at me. One of my books is even called, Look at Me. I'm amazing. And if I show them, then your next book should be, Look what I found underneath. And people will buy that one too. And if they didn't, who cares? I mean, really, because you're your real self. When Alanis Morissette released an album, and it was wonderfully hateful, I mean, she just took every story that everybody that ever bothered her, abused her, neglected her, every guy that ever betrayed her, she was just cussing it into the records. You blankety blank, I can't believe you. She just blurted out, and it sold millions because people were like, me too, I can relate to that. So they're all singing the songs, I hate him too, I hate him too. And everybody's like singing it. Then she goes to India and she's like, oh my God. She comes back, sings, "Thank you, India. Thank you, all the garbage that I ever believed, because it's just an illusion. Oh my God." And nobody bought it. You know, it's like, what happened? You'd have to face your fear that when you become holy, the world's going to tell you you're not as cool anymore. You know, you don't have quite that edge anymore. And it's something it's like George Harrison coming out of the Beatles. He just writes, "All things must pass." He wrote songs about, why do you keep telling me I can't change? It's really sad that you think I have to stay into the thing you wanted me to be. So we all have to have that moment, where your kids go, "Mom, go back to being," your parents, "Go back to being." And I'm not saying change just to prove something, because that's not you anyway. But I'm saying to find our true selves at any cost, to find our true selves. So start by identifying the masks, if you can. What are the images not that you believe you are, but what images do you believe you put out there? Just spontaneously name a few. Handsome, pretty, successful, this, that, good at that, and whatever. And you can say, "Well, that's not a mask, I really am." Write it anyway. Right? Just in case you're not as perfect as you thought. Just write it. Because if it's real, if it was seemingly a mask and you remove it, it'll still be there. But stop with the masks. There's all kinds of ways that this is going to come to you as it comes to me. But it's like this image of, here I am. It's this, open it. To pull off the guilts and shames, but before you even see those, you got to pull off the masks that you don't have any guilt and shames. I don't have guilt and shame, I'm just successful. Take off that mask and we'll see what you are. Can you talk about it? Can you sit with counselors? I've known people that go to counselors for years and never told them certain things about their life. How vulnerable was that? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So we say, here I am. When I was younger, probably in my 20s, I went to a counselor. And I went in and I sat down and I said, because I was already somewhat known out there in the world. And I said, I want to sit with you and I want to work on some things, whatever comes up. The first focus was raising kids and struggling with what became my ex about how to, raise the kids with the proper thing. I said, I'm open, you be my sounding board. You tell me, where am I off and on and whatever about raising these kids, because we're not getting this right. We're contradicting each other with the kids. So I kind of said, here I am for that. But whatever else comes up. But I said to him, and I want you to know, you might know me or whatever. I said, but if you know me, because I think he said, I recognize the name. I said, well, I teach, but I said, I need you to not speak to me as a teacher. I need you to not see me as a counselor or a teacher or anything else. I want you just to see me as anyone else that comes in and needs you to say what you need to say. That's it. I mean, it's like, instead of, well, I kind of know all that you're going to tell me, but it just looks good if I come here. Instead, just tell. And when I stopped seeing that guy years later, last week actually, no, I'm kidding. But when I stopped seeing the guy, I really loved the guy. He was so amazing. And I said, this is my last time I'm going to see you, because I was moving out of that area. And I said, it's my last time I'm going to see you, but I want to thank you. He was kind of a full-body Jewish man, very, very strong looking. And I said, you carried very well my dad's energy, first of all. But I said, what amazes me, you've never talked about anything spiritual, but you're very spiritual. See, I knew he was religious, but he never spoke it. He's Jewish and he's religious to that faith, but he never spoke it. And I said, what I really always appreciated, no matter how gruesome the things were that I had to share with you, I said, you were always there and you were always spiritual. And he said, you know what, I've never had such a compliment. He said, it means a lot to me that anyone could ever have felt my attempt to be spiritual without speaking it, because that was important to him. And he said, and I want to tell you the one thing I most appreciated about you, the day you came in and said, no masks, just tell it to me like you need to tell it to me, with no airs, no fronts. It's not that horrible. It really isn't. It's kind of a relief to do that, to say to even your own partner, I think it's great to say to your partner, listen, honey, and you've heard me say this one before, but you sit and you say, I want to share with you how much I care about you, and so on, positives, and I want to share with you how much I really would have loved to save you from all hurts. I would have loved to have been perfect in so many ways. I would love to have been your best lover ever. I would like to have been your best friend ever. And all the things I would love to have been. And you to be for me. And it's not easy for me to say this, but I'm going to accept today that I can't. That I can't do it. Actually can't fix everything. I can't prevent you from ever hurting, from ever being sick, from ever doubting yourself. I can't. Not because I don't want to. It can't be done. And I'm really sorry. But I'm going to have to retire from that today. And if they could reciprocate the same statement. It's a ritual of goodbye. But not goodbye. It means the masks. It's kind of like saying, listen, I have this one mask where I try to, always be in a great mood. It terrifies me, but I'm going to drop it. I have this other one that, I'm the most handsome, pretty, or whatever thing you've ever seen. I'm going to drop that one. It's not easy. I mean, it's kind of joyfully scary. Because inside what you're doing is healthy and right, but it's kind of, scary inside. Seriously, I'm gonna own that I maybe not. We fell in love, and we met when we're older, and I'm going through menopause, so I can't be what I wanted to be for you. We met, and I've already had children, and now I can't have any more and give you children. I can't do this. All those things that come up. Human beings would actually rather believe that any of those are possible still. Honey, I'm 103 and I'm going to own that I can't give you children. It's not easy because I still think there's a chance. But just in case, drop the mask. And the person listening should actually tune into how that feels. Because it doesn't feel great. You might go, oh, of course. No. When you're really honest, you realize, damn it. I wanted you to give me kids. I wanted you to be this. Deep down, we do have the hooks and agendas to those masks they're wearing, which is causing the glue to keep them on. So when they drop them, it's a part of us having to be vulnerable and accept. Okay, I'm glad you told me. And when it's done, and hopefully both people have done such a thing, and even if you can't do it in person, just do it in your mind, but do it sincerely. But when done, you can say, all the masks have dropped. So I'm not even sure who I am. Got to be honest. I thought I was this and that and masks. And I don't even know who I am. So I guess what I have to offer is this. If you would like to get to know the new me, which I can't even tell you what that looks like because I don't know yet. But if you'd like to get to know the new me, I'm open to that. If you can't or won't, I will understand. I'll be hurt, but I'll understand. You have to put that out there. One in every so many are going to say, no. I want the happy girl. I want the one that was a wealthy man or woman. There's going to be some people that are going to say that. Don't ask these questions if you're not willing to hear that answer. And I'm sorry if it does happen that somebody says, well, no, that ain't going to happen. And I've heard that. In my life, but I've heard that in other people's lives where somebody says, no, I still have to have those things. I need that from you. You're going to hurt. Breathe and say, okay, I understand. Create an exit strategy. Do not bargain and say, wait, I'll give you back 3 of those if you give me back 30% of the love that you were giving me. You can't. You have to say, okay, don't bargain. Don't retract your statement. Don't do that. Just breathe. And the house could be empty the next day. And I would rather be in an empty house and start getting to know the real me than to have all fake. I remember, and a wonderful woman in my life was my godmother. And she had a life all set up. A wealthy man, powerful man, well-connected man, worked for presidents and all these kinds of things. And, you know, and I shared this story once before, but just briefly, I remember we stopped seeing her coming around, and it's like, whatever happened? And the story was, she went crazy. Oh, what a bummer. You know, I'm a kid. I'm like believing it. She went crazy. Oh, bummer. What really happened was she told my godfather, you know, she told him, I'm out of here. He said, you can't leave. Because he's told her many years, and she didn't do it. She didn't leave. He said, you can't leave. The money is mine. Everything is mine. If you leave, you'll have nothing. And I'll tell everybody you're crazy. He didn't mention to anybody that he used to chase her through the house with a gun. He didn't mention to anybody that he used to beat her up. She kept up the air. She kept the fake. And she said to me, I did it because of the money, Michael. I stayed. I was afraid I had no life. She bargained. And she said, but you know what happened? One day, I walked out with nothing, and I've never been happier. He did have me institutionalized for several weeks. But you know what? None of those people beat me up. None of the people in the hospital chased me around with a gun. That's really the hard way, man, having to peel off the layers, those masks. But she was blissful after. I mean, she was blissful. She was probably already in her 40s. She became a hippie. She moved to Oregon, lived in a community, wore whatever she wanted to wear, or nothing at all, I imagine. Nothing at all, I imagine. She was happy. But she went through that, and again, the people around said she went crazy. And she did not go crazy. She had a breakdown, but it was a breakthrough. And it was hard. It was. I mean, I saw her. She was scared. She was sad. There was a bit of that. But that's just for a moment, because it kind of hurts to peel those masks off. But stop gluing them on, and it won't hurt as much. So please remember, letting go of masks, letting go of guilt and shame, it's only going to be as painful as is our insistence to try to keep it. Technically, none of those things are real, so they have no power and they have no ability to give you pain. So if you feel the pain in making the changes, that too, stop and say, okay, wait, where am I possibly being attached to keeping this in some way? Try to bargain, and you're going to feel pain. All right? Let's take a moment to center in and do an internal process. Let's just tune out the stuff of the world. And even if you're a person who carries very little overt guilts and shames, remember, you're part of the collective. So it's still wise to do the work. We're not always happy, and we do have challenging moments. Let's be honest about them, vulnerable about them, open our hearts and souls, and do the heart and soul healing work. See a counselor. See someone that'll help you work those deeper parts. Do the online Healing the Heart and Soul course. Do journaling. Anything that processes the masks off, the inner stuff out and in the open. When we shine light on these things, they disperse. If they scream on their way out, let them scream on their way out. And each time we choose to recognize our innocence and divinity rather than the guiltiness and so forth, there's an energy. Every time we choose to identify with our guiltlessness, our innocence, there's a burst of energy that comes from our soul out into the world around us and actually feeds the light that surrounds this planet instead of the darkness that can also surround it. Every time we choose to access our innocence and our holiness, an actual energetic burst takes place that is as great, as powerful as when Jesus was born. Because it's still someone being born into the Christ light. Really? Me? I can do that? Absolutely. So we take a moment to say, Father, Mother, God, in this moment, we're willing, ready, willing, and able to expose the unhealthy bits and pieces of life, the heavy, soaked coats that we carry of guilt and shames and regrets. So we ask that the Holy Divine Mother and the Holy Spirit descend into our being in this moment and activate and open each of our centers, chakras, so that we can clear emotional baggage. Open each center, the crown, the third eye, the throat center. Open, open, open. We are open. We are willing, ready, willing, and able. Be with us and take us through this process. Open our heart, solar plexus, navel center, root center. Open every center. We choose your will to be done. And your will is that we not carry these things. I joyously surrender all ego emotions of separation and instead allow my emotions and desires to be filled with peace and happiness of God. And after each prayer, some of you know, I'll only do a half dozen short prayers, but after each one, you can repeat, I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender all ego emotions that have programmed me to respond to attacks by defending myself. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Today I will not defend myself because the Son of God, the children of God, need no defense. In my defenselessness, I am strong beyond measure and always at peace. I will be still an instant and go home. Now there is only God and no thing can disturb me. I affirm that my I am presence is the only power that is allowed to act in my emotions. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender my ego beliefs that I can separate from God. I choose to look at this lie with no fear, no shame, no guilt, no denial on my part in ever creating this belief. As I heal my misperceptions about being separate from God, His love and light confirm their presence by speaking to me through my intuition, imagination, and creative impulses. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego belief that God blames and judges me for the decisions I have made. I am responsible for creating my ego and for judging myself for doing so. Therefore, I choose to forgive myself for these decisions and accept the truth of who I am and what I deserve. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender my ego belief that due to the errors of my choices and actions, I'm not worthy to enter God's kingdom. By learning from my mistakes and surrendering, I am released from my past. Therefore, I accept my rightful place as a co-creator with God. I am here to multiply my life and let my I am presence take dominion over the earth. Today I choose the life that forgiveness offers, wherein I am free from judgments that would reject a life of miracles. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender my ego belief that to return to heaven or God or to perform miracles that I need to be perfect. I accept the truth that God does not look for human perfection as does the ego, even though it forever finds flaws. But instead, God looks for the purity of heart. It's not those who are perfect who see God, but instead it's those who are pure in heart who shall see God. Therefore, I surrender all impurities in my heart. Let me remember I am one with God. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego emotions that once convinced me that just because I couldn't see, remember, or understand all the scars within my emotional body, it meant I could not heal them. I can work on my past without feeling so overwhelmed that I react by going numb or into denial. Although I know it is not always necessary, I am willing to witness, if need be, all of my emotional pains. I invoke waves of healing to wash through my emotional body, to cleanse and consume all past wounds that once overwhelmed me. All the power of heaven stands with me and within me. I am willing to love myself so unconditionally in all situations from my past. The light has come. I have forgiven all. The peace of God is shining in me now. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And one more. I joyously invoke the pure compassion of Mother Mary's Immaculate Heart, and I call for it to wash over my emotional body and the emotional bodies of all human beings in all dimensions. Divine Mother, let the energetic waves of your pure heart wash through and consume my burdens and the burdens of all people, so we can attain the vision and the will to rise above our fears and wounds. Awaken us to the reality that as long as we are not healed, we create an ongoing connection and identification to the wounds of the past and the people who seemingly hurt us. I consciously surrender all emotions created or controlled by my ego. I say, as did the Divine Mother once upon a time, O Lord, my I am presence, let my life and my emotions be according to your will. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And now in the name of my Holy Father, Mother God, the Holy Son, Child, Christ, my true identity, and the Holy Spirit, I accept that I am one with my I am presence, and that through that oneness I am sealed from all ego illusions and the appearances that they project onto the screen of life. Today I am one with God and with all of my brothers and sisters. I affirm that Archangel Michael and his legions consume the planetary forces that are anti to Christ consciousness. My Christ self exposes and consumes all power previously given to my ego and all its manifest forms. Having surrendered all illusions, the prince of this world comes and finds no resonance in me. My emotions and desires are God's, and the fullness thereof. We'll repeat 3 times. My emotions and desires are God's, and the fullness thereof. My emotions and desires are God's, and the fullness thereof. My emotions and desires are God's, and the fullness thereof. God is raising the earth into a glorious new day. Today I choose to live and be the will of my Father, Mother God. Today I choose the life of Christ. The kingdom of God is manifest in me and on earth now and forever. And so it is. Before you open your eyes, please just take a moment to center. Anchor all this inside. We once believed we were separate, and we forgot our identity. The forgetfulness became a band of darkness around our light. And the throne in that darkness became sat upon by the ego that sent us outside to experience hurts, wounds, past lives and childhood wounds, and then to increase guilt and shame around it all. And then to put masks outside of that so that we could look better to each other, because each of us is a universe unto ourselves. So we look at each other seeing masks, not the hurts inside. And so we imagine all beings being given permission to drop their masks. And let's just for a moment recognize, if we're all witnessing each other, people all around the planet, politicians, children, everyone. The masks, hi, I'm just a little cute little child. No. Politician, successful business person. No. Say no to them all and let them drop their masks. Underneath, a scared, wounded being. Underneath that, the terror of the ego to not want us to go any further inside. And we commit to looking even beyond that darkness, and there's pure light. So imagine that we've had the courage to look beyond the masks and all the layers to the inside of each other, and there's pure light. You're not black or white, you're not blonde or brunette, you're not male or female, you're not anything I need you to be. I retire everyone from playing any role whatsoever. Strong, weak, needy, attractive, unattractive, handicapped, sick, or fit and healthy. I don't need you to carry any of those. None of you around the planet. Even Jesus off the cross. No one needs to play any roles because I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ on earth. And in so doing, I'm seeing that same perfect light within you, each and every one of you. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are all free at last. And so it is.